Ensemble and the dream of freedom. Before I start, I really want to make my reference to our common teacher, Dr. Yuri Eichitz, because he is really the one who opened this theme for the theater world in a new way with his doctor's thesis, with his work, with his trainings, with his books. For me, one of the main questions of Ensemble is respect, mutual respect, and ethics, as we will speak later as well. Therefore, I really say thank you to Yuri Eichitz about all the knowledge about Ensemble, what he gave to us, to the team, and what we are now continuously further developing, questioning, discussing, perhaps changing, still referring. We associate Ensemble immediately with the golden age of ensemble theater. What means? I remember constantly in Stanislavski, the Mchat, the famous pictures of Anton Chekhov reading The Seagull together with the ensemble. If you look at the pictures, they all sit very precisely dressed, reading, but it was one of the first ensembles. Later, we have Peter Brook, famous ensemble, international ensemble. We have Peter Stein with the Schaubühne, which was also in the movement of what we called in Germany Mitbestimmungstheater, meaning participation theater. And that meant that the ensembles were really making decisions about the fate of the whole theater. They stopped, in fact, the hierarchical understanding of theater, which was very normal up to this day. In my short introduction, I will not go further back than the 20th century, well knowing that we have ensembles before. And we have ensembles in other parts of the world. I'm aware that I'm speaking right now from the Eurocentristic perspective. I simply dare it to limit the subject because it also refers to our, let's say, Eurocentristic theater experience, what we are doing. But we might open this perspective in a while with your talk. So we can say, Konstantin Sergeyevich Stanislavski started systematically to write down his research about acting training, about the acting profession. In this way, somehow we can say the profession of acting was hereby established. Because only if a profession is teachable, we have the right to say it is a profession. And this work, what he did, and we can discuss about it, what we think about it, how much we need today, how much not, still we know this goes together with the founding and with the treating, teaching, and caring of ensembles. I think most of you know this famous chapter number 14 about ethics. If not, please read it. You don't believe how actual it is. It's stunning. It's stunning that in fact the problems are still the same within 100 years, not so much changed. We are human beings. Mm-hmm. And so if we can say the modern understanding of theater art is connected with the founding of the acting profession, goes together with the idea of an ensemble. With an ensemble which forms an artistic identity, an artistic entity, an artistic body, and hereby the identity of the theater. At the same moment, we can say that with the professional treatment of the actor's profession, the individual artist was born. The artistic personality got more and more importance. There were the stars were born. So how to get together the stars and the ensemble. And as I mentioned before, the Peter Brook Ensemble developed continuously over the years, changing personal compositions, still considered an ensemble, even changing the people. But it was an ensemble founded under an artistic idea. Here, the ensemble even had a broad cultural variety. So here, it was really connecting cultural diversity as the principle of an ensemble. Let's say diversity as principle of an ensemble. Then at the same time, more or less, we had Peter Stein in Germany. He revolutionized the theater system, absolutely, by questioning hierarchical structures. He changed the theater of the 60s and 70s, and we can say the modern theater, the modern post-Second World War theater started in Europe. The ensemble decided everything, which play, who plays what, who should direct, the whole plan of the year. Clear that such an ensemble is far away of being a chorus or a chorus line. It must be an ensemble of individual identities, personalities, again, stars. So we know the Peter Brook Ensemble, the Stein Ensemble, gave birth to the most famous actors, what we have until today, or let's say what we now in these days have to say goodbye to. I would like to make my deep reference to Jutta Lampe, who left us just before Christmas. I think most of you know her as a famous member of the Peter Stein Ensemble. One more famous ensemble existed, and I want to mention it. And this ensemble created a storm in the moment when the East and the West, I'm speaking now of Europe, opened. When the Iron Curtain opened up and there came an ensemble completely unknown called School of Dramatic Arts, Anatoly Vassiliev. Co-founder Yuri Alshitz, where he developed a lot of his ideas. Again, this ensemble was the ensemble of super strong individualities, artists creating a new innovative theater. Where I'm pointing to always is this beautiful antagonism, which is none, I say, perhaps yes, individuality and ensemble. So my colleagues will continue on this theme, but before to go in this detail, let's ask a very simple question. What is an ensemble? Your definition of an ensemble and how you see the perspectives of evolution. And I would like to ask my dear colleague Olga first, because I know that she wrote a lot about it, that she has a lot of experience with ensemble work, and I'm curious how she will now continue from my short words. Dear Olga, please.
I'm also curious how we'll continue because there's so really, it's a humongous field of ensemble, training ensemble, thinking, exactly because of those references, I think that that Christina was just mentioning, specifically Stanislavski, who is tightly bound to the beginning of professional theater in general. And he doesn't grow old because of many things, but also because of this basis that he discovered both in the processes of the inner processes of the actor that has to take place for professional acting to be identified as such. But more than that, I think because he put a legitimate frame to the acting as a profession in general. What makes a theater? What makes a profession? What makes a theater group? And to the highest extent. Of course, it was based on the new mode of thinking, new mode of organizational and aesthetical principles that were very, very tight. Just to give a slight overview or how I see it from just researching the context around the emerging of the ensemble as such, automatic theater professional category, because it was not like that before. But there were these glimpses, these separate examples of what makes ensemble an ensemble, upon which I think Stanislavski summarized, because he was not creating this image in vacuum. Of course, he knew perfectly about the experience of Mali theater, the biggest and most renowned Russian academic theater, who, with the experience of Michael Shepkin, made a revolution in ensemblizing the group of actors who were working there by creating the image of the home, by creating and enforcing somehow the image of the family, making analogy between, family, relative-like relationship and the relationship of professional theaters on the stage, what is very important behind the stage. So this is I think quite also important image that doesn't grow old. Such also is very important archetype of ensemble home, ensemble family somehow. There was another experiments, of course, in connected with the surname of Ostrovsky, the father of Russian national dramaturgy, who put forward the idea of necessity of actors in order to become and be called ensemble, to be united by some circle of common ideas, but more specifically the common civil position towards the social processes around us. So it was this political, social, this humanistic engagement was put forward before Stanislavski, and it's also, this principle doesn't grow old as well. Of course, there were also examples of foreign theaters that Stanislavski had chance to see, and theaters inside Russia who put forward the idea of some sort of proto-collective creation or improvisation, especially Alexandrinsky Theater in St. Petersburg, quite interesting story, where improvisation was even if it was not called as such, was identified and recognized as the highest form of acting, highest, the most challenging, the most complicated, which at the same time serves as as a test of actors' professionalism, and this, of course, also is very actual to the day of today. And the other approach is the performances that Stanislavski got chance to see of Meiningen group of actor. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, but I think you all know I'm referring to the experience of Kronek, of Meiningen Theater, and of this first time in the theater history appearance of some other mode of existence on the stage than big stars and corps de ballet and so on. There was really completely different approach to organizing the dramatic action, dramatic narrative through the using of really massive amount of people on the stage. It was, of course, it was mainly, let's say, choreographical approach. It was a very, very visual approach, besides other artistic principles. But still, you see, it's one more dimension to ensemble. I think that the beauty of work of Stanislavski was somehow uniting those principles, filtering out the best of them, and still putting forward or choosing the most important aspect of ensemble, which for him was in making ensemble not anymore a technological category of organization, administration of actors on the stage, but the mode of thinking. It was the basis of the art. In fact, he made equal sign of equality between art and ensemble when he said that our art is collective in nature. Everybody who violates the principle of collective creation basically violates or commits a crime against the art itself. But why why I'm mentioning Stanislavski here, not because of the notions that we all somehow know, but I think because I want to mention this little tiny detail, which is still extremely important, I think, a bit paradoxal and not so popular to speak about, because it shakes, and especially inside of the Russian theater context, very, very like to put people on here up in the Olymp, and never double question that the point is that despite that they were extremely famous, I mean, the Moscow Art Theater Group as a group, as all the theatrical pedagogical practice that Stanislavski organized, we have to be just in admitting that according to many researchers contemporary to their times, artists, everybody who wrote about theater, who left some evidence, there were no really great actors. They were, well, I mean, they were great, they were good, they were well trained, they were amazing ensemble, but the fact is they were not really that great. There were no one Tommaso Salvini, there were no, I mean, they were, this is an interesting perspective of studying the legacy of Stanislavski, in putting up forward the question why his ensemble doesn't provide these historical examples of really big names, not in the sense of superstar. They were superstars, all of them equally, but none of them really making those revolutionary steps. Or if those steps were made, then they were not people associated with Stanislavski anymore. Let's say Meyerhold, for example, directly connected to Stanislavski, very little in common, exactly because of this mechanism. So I don't think that ethics of Stanislavski and all this tremendous writing, romanticizing and putting extreme amount of pressure on the concept of ensemble for contemporary actor can be taken as it was written. I think it has to be divided by at least 2 or even 4 or even maybe 10, because the other side of ensemble thinking and ensemble organization, it lays in this question of a place of artistic individuality, on the place of the borders, on frames of the discipline, and the place of question is raised towards the figure of authority, of a leader, his real role in relationship. So I really think that this is a beautiful dialectics that is there in our profession when we speak about ensemble, especially referring to Stanislavski, thinking that somehow he's the best example to speak about ensemble. Also, in many ways, he's the worst example to speak about ensemble. So that's from my side on my take on Stanislavski and ensemble.
Thank you, Olga, and thank you immediately opening up that it's not always necessary to have the same opinion, but exactly now making the co-reference to my Stanislavski words. And this is, I think, the most important point, that we always have to reinvent, and reinvent especially dreams, or which are considered to be as per se a dream, because it sounds so nice. We all like to be together. We all like to work together, feel nicely together, whatever, but it's a little bit, yes, it's a sweet dream, but it's not so very professional. Therefore, let's go further and look really what does it mean if we now today think about to realize dreams. What means, or can I say, what are the characteristics of an ensemble? What are the, can I say, the main obstacles, thoughts of a teacher who is also leading several ensembles? And I would like to pass on to Dimitris to tell us a little bit more about what he thinks what is really a characteristic of an ensemble, so that afterwards we can speak much more practically about it, what is necessary to do to form ensembles today.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Olga. Well, I will take the word dream, Christina, that you've used. While thinking about ensemble and what to share in this talk of ours today, actually, I can admit I felt a bit nostalgic about the ensemble. It was like a beautiful, nice dream. Speaking about my sense and experiences inside several ensembles, and actually two were the main images that arose. One was, of course, at the training at the studio, which to me gives a very precise image of how I experienced and how, of course, we are working with ensemble. It's a main area that we are testing, that we are evaluating all the basic principles and ideals and the rules, of course, and the ethics of an ensemble. The second image was the dinners of the ensemble, which I also think they're a very strong ensemble building conditions and situations. I was mainly reminded of some dinners in big kitchens with long tables in Italy or in Germany, in other places that we have also been together. So I went to my kitchen table and I started to write something in Greek about the dinners ensemble, the ensemble of the dinner, the dinners ensemble. So I did some translation of, well, it's not the best, but still I think I could share something of my thoughts about it. So let me read this text. The ensemble dinner. In the theater news is said that the ensemble will not withstand the pressure of the new circumstances, that it is now hosted in a nursing home and its condition requires monitoring since it belongs to vulnerable groups. It is also rumored and predicted that in the future there will be no more ensembles except for a few surviving theater groups of protagonists and superstars, and maybe a few more groups of artists trying to make it the best way they can. The truth is that survival cannot be the only advisor for the creation of an ensemble, and no ensemble would have ever been created if the sole purpose of the artists that made it was survival. So now that we're going through the era where the ensemble is not at its best, I will try to remember some of its glorious moments that would probably be worth reminding to ourselves and to our ensembles after their recovery. That we all wish it will be a fast one. I am writing this text on my home kitchen table, and the reason I do is to honor all the kitchen tables that have proven to be most effective in creating an ensemble compared to at least half the ensemble building exercises, which maybe they have provided some beautiful moments, euphoria in the groups of actors, but rarely the communion of ensemble dinner at the kitchen tables. If, as the saying goes, wine brought more people into contact with God than religion and church, we would dare to say that wine created more theater ensembles than all the ensemble exercises together, with the contribution of food, of course. We must not overlook the importance of food as well. It should be noted here that in the history of ensembles, there are always a maximum of 3 members of an ensemble who really cook well. And it is these 3 members who undertake on a daily basis the gastronomic supervision of the ensemble's dinner. The other members contribute as well, usually participating in the supply of food from the market and also in the washing of dishes at the end of the dinner, often singing songs such as Bella Ciao or Yesterday, but in a more allegro version. It's while washing dishes is yesterday. You understand? Sometimes they combine washing dishes with their rehearsal. Let me introduce myself. Versini, etc., etc. It should be noted here that in the history of ensembles, there are always a oh no, I've said this, sorry, excuse me. I'm back. So, but there are also those members of the ensembles who rarely contribute to the preparation or even at the end of the dinner, but they contribute in a very special and unique way during the dinner, to such an extent that they are never blamed for anything concerning their absence from the practical issues of the table. And they are always forgiven about it. I will explain the reasons in a moment. Before referring to this category of actors, I would like to stay for a while at the cooks of the ensemble. The cooks bring to the ensemble one of the most basic conditions for its creation: love. I don't want to sound melodramatic at all, but to be honest, ensemble without love, it is impossible to exist. About the other categories of actors, those who participate less or not at all in the preparation of the dinner, they contribute with 2 equally necessary components, such as love, for the creation of it. Firstly, with the youth, regardless of their age, and second, with the charisma. And if somebody brings these 2 elements on the same table, then as a natural consequence, inspiration, desire, and eros will appear on it. 3 essential as well conditions for a successful ensemble dinner. Speaking of youth, I would like to add one more thing. The ensemble is nourished and developed by youth. The relation is mutual. Youth love the ensemble and the ensemble loves the youth. As I said before, age doesn't matter. Youth always finds in the ensemble its destination, its manifestation, and its development through the others around the ensemble's table. The ensemble's dinner table is the perfect table to try as well the flavors of 2 rare and very exquisite dishes. to try from the dis of union and from the dis of utopia. And they are both dises that never fill you up. You always want more. If for something can be proud and grateful, those who actually with a lot of effort, patience and perseverance took part on the creation of an ensemble, it is precisely because they had the opportunity to prepare and to taste even once from these two dises, union and utopia. It would be an omission not to mention the mechanism that holds the ensemble dinner's table. This mechanism is game. Some will say that if there is one thing that keeps the ensemble table steady, this is trust. That trust is the table legs. Let me disagree in a way. The legs of the ensemble is game, and that's the reason the ensemble table always trembles. There is always the fear of a sudden move to shake the whole dinner in the air and all the nice dishes to be thrown in the trash bin. Trust is like the object in the exercise. You remember the exercise that we take a pencil, for example, and then in a circle, the actors with their imagination transforming it in a telescope, etc., etc. So the trust is like this object in this exercise. It's constantly being transformed, and quite often it doesn't really resembles anything of trust. The history of ensembles is written on small or big betrayals. But the game, though, the game clarifies and secures the boundaries of the relations in the ensemble. Shuffles and cheats are allowed as long as they do not knock the table down. The phrase of Albert Camus, everything I know most surely about morality and duty, I owe to football, accurately describes the importance of the game in shaping the ethics, the values, and the character of the ensemble. And the game always finds its top expression in training, in the hundreds of exercises of ensemble training. If at the beginning of this text, I purposely underestimated the ensemble training to highlight the importance of the ensemble dinner, now that this dinner is slowly coming to an end, I would like to be fair to the training. I will dwell on one point. Ensemble's training, in some cases, has been found to be 7 times more effective in treating narcissism than a year of psychotherapy. The body of the ensemble detects narcissism as a dangerous virus that must be treated not with a mask, but with its deconstruction. The importance of training for the ensemble is equivalent to the importance of the ritual for the faithful. Faith without ritual doesn't exist, but neither can an ensemble without training exist, and certainly the ensemble cannot exist without its dinner. Following the tradition to express our gratitude and thanks after a dinner, I would like to thank the ensemble for the miracles that took place and are taking place within it, for the extended moments of grace that it offers. Ensemble is life at its best. Let us contribute in every way to keep it alive. So this was the dinner of the ensemble, that somehow some principles and some characteristics, Christine, as you said, I think I tried to include in this dinner.
Thank you. And thank you for this format, because immediately I think artistic speaking and more freely artistic looking at facts make the facts much more accessible and understandable. So thank you, Dimitris, for sharing this, creating and sharing this text. And of course, you now opened up a lot of, not questions, but let's say details, wonderful facts to speak more deeper about. One which I would like to pick out in this moment, this is of course the question of training, meaning the training doesn't come by itself. The same, the ensemble somehow must invite for the dinner. The dinner doesn't come by itself. It's not, we have this, we have, of course, the fact that sometimes ensembles start to exist and you don't know what from and why, and they are there. It's like mystical. But in the most times, someone or 2, 3 people take initiative. So the question is, first of all, how an ensemble can be established. The initiative, most probably very often it is a director, teacher, trainer. Even in the school, the teacher tries to create an ensemble while she is teaching the class. Let's say it's in the class, the ensemble of the 3 years. So someone is a leader of the ensemble. Then we can immediately question if this is correct or not, because ensemble per se, we are thinking of something non-hierarchical. How is the question, or do we have hierarchies in the ensemble? How to deal with them? But my main question comes now really, and I would like to pass it on the ball once more to Olga. This question of training, I'm now not speaking of specific exercises, we can read them in books, but the principles, how the ensemble is related to a trainer, how you can create an ensemble, with which perspective you are creating an ensemble. Is it correct to take this position? And if you take this position as a teacher or director, you are part of this ensemble, or you are somehow apart and your destiny is to stay outside constantly, which I think a lot of you know how hard it is to give somehow the ensemble on the way, and you understand now they are working, but I remain outside as the director and the teacher because I need to let them go. So all these questions or these aspects, I would like to move on to Olga to tell a little bit more about her experiences and opinions about it.
Thank you, Christina. Well, it's tremendous massa of questions. I don't know which exactly you want me to pick up and
choose one
and move on. There are several aspects to what was now mentioned that interest me, and that also are just simply my love, my practice of every day. The everything that is connected with the problematics, of establish ensemble and of establish it in a way to harvest the best fruits of this ensemble for everyone involved. It's very similar mechanisms to both the teaching and to both directing, which both are my day-to-day practices. But somehow in the day of today, I think that to create an ensemble, I mean, we need to figure out what we call an ensemble, of course, but in the sense or in the image that I see it for today, at least, I think it is impossible. Ensembles are not creatable, I think. I mean, of course, something is creatable, but I'm not sure if you can really call it an ensemble in that sense that we can refer from knowing the background of the school of thought of Urialchitz, which Christina was referring in the very beginning. So let's say, I will first shortly just speak about, to my head, most sufficient understanding of ensemble for the theater practice of today, and then I will speak about this relationship between this ensemble and individuality of, let's say, teacher, of director, of some sort of a leader. So first of all, still, even if we remember, the Stanislavski, still there are many ways to use the word ensemble. Ensemble is a word not exactly originally theater. It's borrowed, like many things in theater is borrowed, but to some extent it's always means some sort of coherence of some parts that are united by some inner or outer factors. And it can refer to group of actors that are working on the stage or in the training room. It can refer to the actors on the stage and the audience in the theater during performance. It can refer to all workers of theater in general. It can refer to this metaphysical union of all ever existed theater professionals. It can trespass the theater frames and refer to the union of these people, ideas, knowledge, everything that forms the bigger idea, let's say your artistic ensemble, and so on and so forth. But let's speak about merely the group of actors who are working together, and say that this is the ensemble, and the ensemble principles and ensemble exercises are targeting this specific phenomenon. So for me, like quantum physics and astrophysics were for a long time my hobby somehow, and on a sort of amateurish level, on the level of just being inspired by it and watching what's the popular science has to tell me about it. I found a lot of these similarities, and I was humoring myself by these analogies through the development of the scientific understanding of the principles of how the world works, the ensemble universe, and the principles of how ensemble of actors works on the stage, what theater and theater school has to deal with. So if we say that the it doesn't mean that that they all exist at the same time today. Also today we have a lot of great example of horribly managed theater groups and of horribly abused leader positions in schools, and we know a lot about it. But somehow the principles are usually three: of organization of ensemble, or of treating the relationship between the people in the group. So let's say if we take the scientific picture, scientific perspective, let's say, what did Isaac Newton make for the world? He, to put it very short, he discovered gravity and described how it worked. He discovered that all objects that are there, they're not merely there, they have very specific forces that they project onto the others. This is the gravity, somehow the expression of our relations. And the bigger is the object, the bigger gravity is of this object, and this is somehow your destiny. Either you are Earth, either you are Saturn, or you are Sun, and this is your place. So somehow the ensemble of Newton is the ensemble of these separate, individualities that have more or less defined role, and that have this place in the group. The relationship of this group is not mattering so much. Somehow pondering upon and continuing upon the idea of gravity, what Albert Einstein did for us is basically put in front the idea of this relativity, and he figured out that came up with the idea of and described it very precisely, the idea of space and time as a continuum, as a something that is to be put our attention, not just the objects that are in the space, but the effect that they're doing to the space and time. in one. It's distorting, is moving not logical, is moving not how we are perceiving it with the limitation of our, just of our human perception. So I would say that this is the moment, to put it in theater language, where the relationship and the principles and the laws and artistic idea, artistic beliefs, becomes much more important than the units, or members of this ensemble. It's the most is important how intricate are connections between us. And it's quite a contemporary understanding. I think it's all the professional ensemble understanding is based on that. It's based on educating, training the connection with the other, with constantly paying attention not to yourself but outside of yourself, and so forth. And it has huge benefits for the basic acting education. But the inability of theory of Einstein to describe really the whole picture of the world, the fact that this principle doesn't work on all the scales, especially on extremely small scales, gives us possibility to look into the knowledge of the quantum physics and quantum mechanics that say that it works differently, that on the very small scales we don't consist of protons, neutrons, all these white and red balls that we know from school, that made up all the atoms, all the molecules in the world. No, we consist of much more intricate matter, of much more difficult to understand with our logics elements. And one of the most poetic theory in quantum physics is the theory of strings, string theory. I'm quite sure probably you heard about it. Is one of the most poetic, because it claims that everything in the end of the day is just a summary of strings vibrating with a very, very, very unique frequency. That everything that there is in the world, ever was, is just a constant constellations of these vibrations of those strings. The most important is that it's the life of those strings is so incredibly short, is so unimaginably short, that these fantastic constellations that suddenly result in amazing resonance exist only for a very, very short periods of time, because the next second this vibrations already changed, and that's it. So it gives this idea of let's say understanding of ensemble, not anymore as necessarily a group of people and their ideas and the principles with which they work and the exercises that they do, but ensemble starts to be more as an event, more as a, we can even say, an accident, which has this aesthetical quality to it, aesthetic category. Ensemble is an experience of this very short, very, very probably bright moment of connection, of constellation of all the factors, not only the people on the stage, of everything that surrounds them, that makes their inner content, everything. So I will not go more into it. I think it's the whole field in itself, and I think that also in work of Yuri, the idea of this holism of understanding of referrals to the quantum fields, I think they are extremely interesting, extremely relevant to contemporary theater practice, because of that question which we put also before, the question of training, of organizing ensemble, of practically putting it together. Is it relevant, and is it possible? So from one point of view, it's impossible if we understand ensemble in the sense which let's say string theory describes. On the other hand, of course, it still remains and will remain for a long time the main method for many theatrical schools and for many rehearsing processes, just because of the very nature of theater production process. It is always, to a degree, collective creation. It is always the process where you have to figure out your relation with the other, with your surrounding, with yourself, and establish the balance of these relations, and to push these relations towards the artistic result. It has a pragmatic aims and tasks into it also. So from the training point of view, let's say, if this is the task, if this is the chosen method to work for a teacher or for director, I think that there are many ways of working, that some of them are more conservative, traditional, and probably less effective, I think, to the day of today, and some are more. So let's say position of the teacher and the ensemble can be described in several also relational options. One of them, the most traditional one, is the teacher or the leader, director, somehow above the ensemble, above the group. He is the source of the idea, he is the source of vision, he is the ultimate law of how everybody moves and does. His vision is the one that unites us. It doesn't have to be negative, it can be extremely inspiring. In fact, all 20th century ensemble history is examples of this model, very effective, amazing, professional, and so on, revolutionary, and so on. Another model is when the leader goes into the position under the group. I don't think that this model can survive for a very long time, but as a method, as a part of a training, is when the teacher goes on purpose under the group of ensemble to completely let go of the initiative. He's still there, but it's not up to him anymore to determine the next step of the life of the ensemble. The teacher can join the ensemble, is one of the also quite rare examples when the teacher or director manages to really to join the group organically, naturally, really manage to make himself equal to everybody, to empower everybody equally, and it gives really amazing results. You know, this moment of the rehearsal when the director, this very respected man of a very beautiful age, with a white head, goes on the stage and starts to jump around with these boys and girls, honestly, not as a making some point to them, but because he's a part of what is being created in the moment. But the fourth version, which I experience and I find it's not something also that can happen very often, but from my theater practice I find is one of the most interesting options, is the option when the leader is leading ensemble. When he's not above, he's not under, he's not together, he's just simply not there. It's very important that he's physically not there. He's there, but not in the same room, not in the same space, not in the same time, and so on. It is one of the most interesting options, which is also, I think, extremely abused in the creative practices, because to leave people to work behind the closed door while I go and have my break and my coffee is very easy. It's practiced very widely. And for tomorrow, make me home task, and I will watch what did you do. No, I mean really that the relationship and responsibility of the leader is still there. It's just his physical presence is changed to all the inputs that he managed to organize for the group. I experienced it once accidentally when after several weeks of extremely intensive process with the group, I just felt, I felt sick. I felt extremely sick. It was an accident, but it was impossible for me to continue. But there was a rehearsal and I had to, there was a deadline, and I mean, it was impossible to stop the process. So what did I do? I wrote a letter with the tasks of the day, so the plan can go on. And I stayed at home and I sent a physical paper letter to the group. I never believed that it will, that it will be as effective as I thought it will be. In the end of the day, after speaking with people, I understood that probably is the most wonderful present that the sickness could give me. Of course, it will not work if it will be too early in the process or too late. If there will be, if this letter with this task were accidental or, you know, or not relevant, definitely. But since then, this somehow became a very practiced method of both in rehearsals but in training. But again, I'm sorry, it's a massive of information, but was a massive also questions, and very big field of, you know, how to organize ensemble and what it is. But yeah, to finish, I think is unorganizable. It doesn't exist, ensemble.
Thank you. Thank you. No, of course. In fact, as soon as you are in the position of leading either a group, a theater training, somehow this question of ensemble comes always to you as the first. So it's really one of the central questions for each teacher. And I just would like to make one reference to your very interesting intervention about the string theory and this changing of relations and the very short time relation. And I think this could be an interesting aspect for instance, if you're planning your training or if you plan to develop artists, actors, that you say, my main aim is not to establish this one ensemble, but to establish really the needness, the understanding of this, that I am a particle in the whole big theater world. I'm free-floating particle, but I get somehow the injection and the understanding of the beauty, how to connect, or that I'm connecting. And this is now another dream. It's not the romantic dream, let's be together and make funding of a theater group for the rest of the life, living together and so on. I mean, all the dreams would, for instance, in my time when I was young, it was the main dream of all young theater people to make a living community and working community, but not knowing it's only for a second. Some happiness only exists for a second. The really true ensemble understanding, meaning that you are really, really connected artistically, not just doing something, some nice project together, but that you understand with my existence, what I'm doing, I'm in a, let's call it now a little bit strong, mystical contact with other people, something which you cannot anymore lead, but you understand you are really on a different wavelengths. You are somehow riding the wave together with people. And it's naive to believe that this can be longer than some, let's say, seconds, minutes, or perhaps one performance. You cannot repeat it just like this. You can train only for the possibility. And I think this is a nice remark from you, that we can look, how can we create trainings that people, especially when they start learning their profession, have the longing for it, and that they have the antenna for it, and that they know what they are looking for. And this is, I think, quite important, that they know what is the benefit for ensemble, what means to have really, what Dimitris says, faith, trust, together to create a game, and it's playing us together. And this togetherness, we know it's only for a second. And this brings me now, because you referred already to the modern technology, also very much to our situation today. Now we are, for instance, here connected somehow via Zoom. We are far away from being an ensemble. We are just exchanging some ideas. But a lot of ensembles now have to work like this. And a lot of people start really changing their personalities in a very, very different way of communication. And for me, it would be interesting to open this question. First of all, of course, if Dimitris likes to continue on this subject a little bit more, but also to everyone who has idea or some remarks to it. What does it mean, this, let's say, condition of the individual, of the personality, to create ensemble in the days now of separation? How can we move forward to really ensembles after the pandemic? Because very precisely now we are speaking about a dream to go back to stage in the rehearsal room. When, we don't know. How we do prepare ourselves and actors for this idea? And is it connected with this new format of individualism, separation, what we experience right now? Can we make a benefit from it, that our consciousness is changing to be a lonely star in the cosmos? How to connect as lonely star easily, quickly, perhaps for a short moment, and leave? So how does this ensemble idea change in our times?
Well, it's difficult exactly now to predict how ensemble will work after this experience, global experience, but we can, or I thinking optimistically, I think that since we've experienced the necessity, the need of the ensemble, I think that ensemble will grow stronger after this pandemic. And still the ensemble will be, because it's always, in my understanding, it always gives examples, models of coexisting. And this is a very important role of the ensemble as well. Of course, the ensemble as ideal could be moment, but still we can understand that its function is also very important for creating models, for shaping the positions of the individuals, generally not just inside their ensemble group and context, but it's also growing in all their relations. So I think that I like to think that the ensemble will also play this important role after this distance, somehow to recreate the way we are related, the way we coexist in the new possible circumstances.
For somehow wrapping up our session, say we have the personality and we have this idea of ensemble. We have, let's say, the personal dream to find a home for an ensemble. And at the same time, the ensemble itself, it's nothing. The ensemble is just an idea. So perhaps we really need the strengthening, and I see right now the strengthening of the personalities because why we should make an ensemble? Just ensemble for social care, it makes no sense. The ensemble, somehow we can say it's an idea. Perhaps me as personal artist, as individuality, I like to create something. I have an idea and I promote this idea, and the ensemble will come around me. So this is a little bit referring to Ajmal, to your question. Perhaps it's important to take the initiative, to dare to stand out of the ensemble in order to find strong people, and better to find stronger people than yourself to create a good ensemble. And I think if everyone thinks that the other one is stronger than myself, it's the most interesting ensemble what you can create, so that you somehow admire the people around you. And I want just to take also one more, this aspect of Aliki, who said this very positive vision that we are now working for an ensemble after, that we can strengthen ourselves very personally. And it's the personal initiative to strengthen myself and to trust in all the different people. And even perhaps the word of Schwarmintelligenz, what is like the intelligence of the swarm, becomes a new notion. Trust in all the people around you. And you might find new constellations and more interesting constellations, because we can go beyond the cultural borders. So we have the ensemble as a perspective of cross-cultural meetings. Since I'm a very optimistic person, I like always to finish with these more positive and optimistic visions. And for me, I would like to put this on the table, that we can say, let's strengthen in this time our personalities, our individualities, share the new ideas, finding really cross-cultural interest, and preparing ourselves then for whatever form will come out. And these ensembles might be for some minutes or for a lifetime, who knows? I think the most important is the personal condition to have the capacity, or to develop the capacity to become an ensemble member. And then we're coming back to just the word of Erwin, and then I know where I'm needed. And everyone knows where they are needed, and again, it can double up. I would like to leave it now in this moment with these words. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Dimitris, for all your wonderful contributions. Thank you, everyone who was with us with your contributions. For now, I wish you a very wonderful weekend, and most of all, positive thoughts and strength to continue your artistic life. Thank you.